I'm
doing?
good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you about Super Metroid today.
Me too.
Um, I know that we've been Instagram friends in the retro gaming community for a while now, but haven't also been able to listen to some of your reoccurring role on the Tycast, and also just look at all the games that you play as well. I can tell that you're a huge fan as well as Super Metroid, so it's awesome to talk to you about that today.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I love that game. I mean, it was actually my first Metroid ever that I played was Super Metroid, and I just absolutely fell in love with that game.
That's that's so awesome, man. I was in the same way. I first played the game a little bit as a kid. I was introduced to it when it first came out. I was only 12 years old, but
Yeah.
um, I wasn't very old. So like I saw my older brother play it, and some of his friends played, and it just got to the point where like I would just fell in love with the atmospheric conditions, the awesome
Yes.
power ups, the guns, everything else. And I didn't really get into it, the full exploration of it, the fun part of it, until later on when I started heavily playing video games, like in
Oh,
college and later on
really?
in life as well. Yeah,
Okay.
I actually I took a long break from actually video games when I was in college and stuff. I was
Okay.
focusing on other things, but obviously within the last 10 years with the Chicago Retro Gamer and everything else, I've gone full deep diving back into it. And Super Metroid will always be my. I mean, there are so many great Super Nintendo and SNES games, but I think Super Metroid will always be my number one at the top of that list.
Mm-hmm. For sure. You said
Well,
I mean, you mentioned atmospheric, and that's the first thing that pops into my head when I think about Super Metroid is the way it made me feel the first time I played it was it just I started playing it. I mean, I think I got it for free because I used my Nintendo points or something, and I said, you know what, I'll give this a shot. Why not? I never played a Metroid game. And I started playing, and just the music and the ambiance, and it just made you feel so alone and isolated. You're this bounty hunter who's exploring this alien world, and it was just so strange and so eerie, kind of scary, not knowing like there's a whole bunch of unknowns that you're traveling through these different places and exploring. So for me, it was like they did a great job with the music and the setting and the sound effects to make you feel like, oh, I'm exploring this new world and it's eerie.
absolutely. I mean, from the get go, you remember that. I mean, just having gone through and I know painstakingly 100% completed it recently, just because I wanted to make sure. Number one, that we had footage for this, but number two, just because I wanted to keep it fresh in my mind. Like, hey, this is what happened in the game.
That's smart.
Um, Even from the very beginning, Sally, it's like you like there's this whole story and you're engrossed in this like such an engaging like development of what's going on in the Metroid universe. And like the last Metroid is in captivity, and there's this whole like up until that point, and I had to look this up, but I didn't realize it, but it was the largest game when it came out in 94. It was the largest game in terms of memory that had ever been produced. And it's
Oh,
like you
really?
start playing it,
Wow.
you started like the Samus ship at the very like top of the planet, and you're like, oh, this is kind of weird. What do I do? And then you start to get down into Brinstar and like Norfair and like Meridia and Wrecked Ship and all the different regions, and you realize, holy crap, this is such a big game.
Yeah. I was also not prepared for when finally started to get into the game and you open up the map and you see the parts that you've explored and then you see the parts that you haven't explored and you see that it's a spider web of different paths and doors and places you haven't been and you're like, oh wow, there's a lot to explore here. And then there's different sections that you have to get to and it just opens up a whole new world in that game.
Absolutely. I think the whole exploration aspect of it was probably my favorite part of the game. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
replaying it and going through, if you know how to beat the bosses in the game, if it's your first playthrough, you may lose it on the bosses your first couple of times through, especially on Ridley or Dragon if you don't know how to beat them. But having played through them a few times, I realized that the hard part isn't even the bosses. Like if you're souped up and you have all the missiles, super missiles, power bombs, like if you have the plasma wave beam and like the ice beam, like you're pretty much good to go as long as you like don't get hit that much. But the hardest parts, at least for me, like trying to go through and beat this game, and 100% complete, or it's just like some of like the very intricate jumps when you're not quite at
Yeah.
the part of that specific part, when you're not quite equipped in the way that you need to be
Mhm.
in order to make that jump. Like if you don't have the grappling beam yet,
Oh yeah,
and you're
yeah.
trying to get across some of those places, and you're like, well, I can technically double jump if I get lucky, but it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of almost impossible, you know?
Oh, speaking of jumps, that wall jump is
Oh yeah.
impossible. I mean, for me, I don't know how many
Mm-hmm.
times I tried. And I think you get to a part where it's these little cute animals who are trying to teach you how to do the wall jump, and they're doing it, and I'm doing the same thing, and it's not
Yeah.
happening. And I tried so many times, and then eventually I looked it up, and I'm looking at hints and tips, but for some
Mhm.
reason my brain is not making the connection with doing the. I think what it is that I'm so used to playing Super Mario that there's wall jumps in
Mhm.
Super Mario, and the way they do it, I feel is more intuitive. And
Yep.
Super Metroid, for some reason, you have to do some weird thing where my brain just does not connect with doing a wall jump there. And I just could not, for the life of me, grasp that wall jump
Oh,
concept.
absolutely. Like I don't know if you felt the same way, but when I first got to that area, and I mean on this playthrough, I got to that area much later because I'm like, I already know how to wall jump. I've gone through the business of having to like painstakingly go through hours of messing things up in order to get to the point where I knew how to do it. But I 100% agree with you. It is a completely different dynamic than like the Mario Brothers games because the Super Mario Brothers games because you have to kind of like pause. I don't know how long it is, but there's like a very slight pause. It's like you jump on the wall and you have to like pause for I don't know how what
Yeah,
fraction of a second it is, but
yeah,
it's like you have to like if you're doing it frame by frame, it's like exactly when I think when like Samus touches like both of her feet to the wall and you have to jump off of it. So it's like instead of just like in Super Mario Brothers where you like jump on the wall and immediately press jump to jump off the wall. It's like you have to like let it sit for just a tiny bit. And the problem with that is if you're so used to like doing other kinds of jumps in the game where it's like automatic and
yeah,
it's almost like way too much and sometimes
yeah.
that it isn't like and you also have to press away from it. So it's like
Yes.
if you're trying to like get something early, like get an item early or something, and you're like jumping on the wall to jump up again, it's like you have to press away from it in order to jump back to the
Yeah.
right. And it's like I don't know. I
It's
100% agree with you, Sally. Like there were a few things in this playthrough that I was very happy about that I was able to get early. Like, hey, I was able to freeze a few guys and get to like the energy tank early or whatever. But there were like all the things that involving jumping. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna wait till I get to space jump and just go through every level. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
there's no
smart.
way. Like, I mean, this once you get to space jump and like you know how to use it, like
Yeah.
everything, it's like, all right, I can just go through everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh.
Where a quick question to you, like obviously you're a big fan of Super Metroid too, but like if you had to pick, I know the original topic for this was going to be like power ups and items, but like who is your favorite boss in Super Metroid? I always ask that question because I think it's very how like some people have personality tests where it's like, hey, I'm a Sagittarius, or I don't know, or like I'm a Wario in Mario Kart, or like what like, what are you what is your favorite boss in Super Metroid? I guess.
Oh boy. The first one that honestly pops into my head is always gonna be Crocomire. Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's not, I guess, not a main boss, but he's a mini boss, and I just love the cinematic of him just kind of falling into the lava and then he comes
Mhm.
back and you think, uh-oh, I'm gonna have to fight him again. But then he just kind of crumbles at your feet. I just love that part. That sequence would always stick out in my head. And every time you pass through that area, you see the skeleton of Crocomire
Yeah.
there.
I during this last playthrough, I totally stopped it a few times so I could take screenshots later of like Samus just like barely in the mouth of it. So like it's just it's a really cool shot on the screen. And
Yeah.
no, I agree with you. I think when also too like Crocodile is kind of one of those bosses where like you just kind of get in the room and you're not expecting it. So like
Yeah. That's
after
right.
like Spore Spawn and Kraid, usually those are like the first two, I guess. But then like when you get down to Crocomire, it's like, and that's also the beginning of Norfair too. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome. Like if you thought that like Meridia or Wrecked Ship were like very like And each one kind of has their own like personality to, or different geographical area has their kind of own like personification, what they're trying to have you go through as a gamer. But
Hmm.
once you get down to that lower part of, I guess, upper Norfair and then lower Norfair, you're like, it's a whole different ballgame. You're like, okay, this is like the last dungeon or whatever.
Yeah.
This is heavy duty. If I had to answer that question, it's so hard for me to answer that question, but I'm gonna say Dragon
Oh,
because
yeah.
Drago for the longest time was one of the hardest bosses for me.
Hmm.
Like I was just like, man, why is it taking so many missiles? Why is it taking super and like all of its little like I guess technically it's a mama, so it's like all its little babies that are coming after you and like
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah.
amphibious animal. But then I learned like all you had to I don't know if you know this, Sally, but like all you have to do in that fight is have it grab you and then have your tractor beam and then like
Yes.
uh, and then grab one of the turrets, like
Yeah.
the electrical turret. And if you just shock it once and like you shock it for long enough, it just dies.
Yes. I only learned, I think I had to look that up because I was like, I can't beat this boss. I don't understand. And then I looked it up and
Yeah,
remember seeing that, oh, you could do this. And I thought, really? That's what they're there for?
yeah, yeah, right. Like when I figured that out, I'm like, oh, this is like, and of all the bosses, there's like, I mean, and obviously I'm not a speedrunner. Like I've done Double Dragon 2 a few times, but like, there's no way I'll ever speedrun Super Metroid. I'd like to do it in under 3 hours someday. Just like, I guess you get to see Samus in a bikini, but like whatever. Like, it would be more or less just me being able to like say like, hey, I finally beat this game in less than 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
because my last playthrough was like what 7 hours and 20 minutes. So it's
Hmm.
like I definitely have some improvement to do. But no, that's very cool. But I guess too, along with that, like, what would you say? Like, just naming off like one of the power ups or weapons. Like, what is your go to like item or power up that when you get it, you're like, all right, now I feel powerful, or now I feel awesome, now I can do anything.
Oh, that's definitely the screw attack.
Oh,
When I got that, I was like, I could do this? Okay.
yep.
Every room I went into, I was just like going
Oh,
around.
yep,
And
yep.
it was just, you could attack with that, and I didn't have to do the wall jumps anymore, so I was just so happy. You
Mm.
got have that with the high jump, and you're pretty much unstoppable from there. You could explore anywhere you want. I was just happy I didn't have to do those dreaded wall jumps anymore. I felt so powerful with just being able to fly around like that. I loved that one. That
That's a. I was
and
gonna say that's just a great answer. That's an amazing answer. Yep.
yeah, and I forgot what at what point we get that. Is that more towards the end? I think it is.
I'm trying to remember exactly where you get the screw attack. I had the footage, but like, unfortunately, I spent so long playing the game and looking for that last super missile. I think everything before that kind of like exited out of my memory. So
Yeah.
I, um, I can't remember specifically. You either get the space jump after you beat Dragon, or you get the screw attack after you beat Dragon. I actually can't remember. I think
Okay.
you get one of those after you beat Dragon, and then you get the screw attack. Is it like Lord Norfair? I can't remember, but the screw attack is like one either the second or third to last item you get because obviously the
Yeah.
very last item or whatever you get is the hyper beam when you're
Mhm.
facing on the brain. But yeah, no, I agree with you. When you get the screw attack and you already have the space jump and like it's pretty much like all right, well if you had problems with the double jumping or the wall jumping beforehand, no worries. As long as you
Yeah.
can get the timing where it's like, you like jump up and as long as you're doing a front flip, as soon
Mhm.
as like it starts to dip down, you just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
loved it. I felt so powerful with it.
oh yeah, it's definitely a game changer. Like, and plus like the screw attack is the only way to kill some of the later
Yeah.
enemies too. So
Mhm.
like as long as you can screw attack as soon as you get the screw attack, you can like screw attack your or maybe you get the screw attack after you beat Ridley. I'm not sure.
Oh.
Hmm. I can't remember what I should know this. I beat this game yesterday and I already can't remember. That's so bad. As you get older, like you start to lose memory. I think this is a part of it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get the screw attack, man, you're just like going crazy through Norfair. You're like, whatever, like this
Oh,
doesn't
I
affect
love
me.
it. I love it. It's so fun. The jump and the X-ray. I love the X-ray because there are
Oh,
so many hidden things in that game. You don't know that you have to bomb that little piece of wall or the
oh,
floor.
yep.
So all of that is just pretty up until you get the X-ray, it's all guessing and testing. You just drop some bombs down, you shoot around, and then you discover, oh man, there's a secret place here. I wouldn't have known to drop a bomb there. And then when you get the X-ray, then you feel like, okay, now you go into every room, you could scan everything, you go into every single room, you backtrack just to make sure you're getting all of the secret power-ups and all the items that you could possibly get. So I was really
No,
happy to get that.
that is such a great answer too. I think the X-ray is my number one because like like I had in thinking about power ups and like weapons and stuff, and obviously like if and I won't ruin it. I know this game came out in 1994, but just in case there's
Spoiler
anybody
alert.
out there that has not played the ending to this game, I think this is the best ending to any game I've ever played. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it is up there and it's so epic. You face a multi-form boss where it's second form, maybe the best second form of any boss I've ever fought ever, and also like I don't want to ruin it, or maybe I mean it. Let me get your opinion, Sally. Like, do you think by now people should have already like played through all of Super Metroid, or
Yeah.
like is it
Well,
kind
I
of,
feel like if
yeah?
enough time has passed, it's fine to talk about it. I mean,
So is 27 years enough? Like,
27
I
years is
don't,
enough. I think we're almost, we're almost hitting 30 years.
right. Okay. Cool. Well, okay. So as long as we're both okay on that, and don't try not to drag me too much. Anybody who's watch or listening to this or watching this, but the ending to Super Metroid is so amazing because you face Mother Brain, and it isn't like in the first Metroid for the NES where you face Mother Brain, you beat her, and then like you try to escape and you eventually just leave. All right, cool, whatever. No, there's an entirely different second form where it's just like badass like T-Rex looking or whatever it is. I don't know. It's like a dinosaur with
It
like a
does look like
huge
a
like
dinosaur.
and it like and there's just one point where like you may be wondering what I love about the stories that earlier on like in Turian when you finally get to Turian and you beat all like the primary bosses and the big statue thing falls down. There's this scene where this Metroid comes up and steals all of Samus's health, and you're like WTF, like what, huh? Like and like there's I guess if you're really good at the game, there are ways to skip that, but when I first played through that, I was like, oh man, was I supposed to like fight this
Yeah.
thing in a certain way, or like did I
Yeah.
f up at some like what did I do wrong
Yeah.
here? Like, but you realize that like after playing through that, the reason why I took you down to 1 HP and then you go down, you get your health back, and you fight it is because guess what? Lo and behold, well, the second form of Mother Brain is going to town on you and completely eradicating you. Right before it's about to do that final blow, that Metroid comes in, saves the day, and gives you back all your health. So it's like, and then you obviously have to do like the crazy escapes, sequence, and
Oh,
which even playing it yesterday for like the 10th time ever, like I was still nervous about it. I was
yes.
like,
I was
ah,
watching. I happened to come in right when you were at that point, and I was watching, and I'm like, oh my God, my heart's
ah.
beating.
Yeah, like the music. I think that's just another way the Super Metroid puts the gamer into these like very deeply engaging atmospheric conditions. Because like even that, so like you finally beat Mother Brain both forms, and it's like, oh nope, you're not done yet. You have 3 minutes or whatever it is to
Yeah.
escape this like. And if you don't know, I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you don't know that path already, you could easily not escape in time, like
Oh yeah.
easily.
Oh
Like,
yeah. No, I think I failed a couple of times in that.
oh yeah, like until like you like kind of learned to like, hey, you had to do like the charge boost and then jump up. But even if you were watching me, like I messed up the first like 2 or 3 times on that. I'm like, oh crap, am I gonna have enough time to save the animals? Like
Yeah.
I have to save the animals, right? You have to
Yeah.
save the animals.
I missed the
Um,
animals on my first playthrough. I didn't know that was a thing. I remember seeing that there was
uh,
a door or like a point where you're supposed to use the morph ball and go down. And I thought,
mhm.
I think I died 2 times. I'm going to that ship. Forget it. I'm
So
looking out for myself now.
these animals have survived like what like the 5-6 geographical area war that's been going on. They're good.
They're good.
They can
See
survive
ya.
on their own. Like, but like you also kind of like I don't know like that's a whole other thing too like with like the wall jumping and stuff like when the animals help you out like the bird tells you how to do like what's it called the shine spark so like when you like you do a charge run and you like press down and you press like B or whatever it is to go up in the air
Oh
like the
yeah.
one bird taught you how to do that and like I don't know what they are if they're squirrels or like weird I don't even know how you would classify that type of animal, but they're like the squirrels that do the like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wall jumping. They show you how to do that, but No, so like the only reason why I was going on that big long tangent was just to say that like I mean I guess if I was being like completely honest, obviously like the best power up or item in the game is the hyper beam, but it's like
Yeah.
that's like almost like you're good like I don't know if there's any way not to get the hyper beam, so that's kind of like that's kind of like a default. Like you almost can't answer with that. But I agree with you. I think if I really think about it, and I think about what makes this game great, the atmospheric conditions, exploring all the different graphical areas, I'm going with X-Ray because it's like, like now me going through this game for the I don't know like 10th or 15th time or something. Like I kind of know where all the secrets are, so I know that there's like, hey, there's an energy tank after you beat Ridley, or there's like, hey, there's an energy tank here, or there's like missiles here, like in Meridia. And there's a lot of oh my goodness, there's so many hard missiles to get in Meridia. Like the one in
Yeah.
like the turtle room that's like on the wall where you have to like jump off the turtle onto the wall and then like hit the wall and then like somehow get into a ball and get it. It's like oh my goodness, like what are you trying to make me do here? And then and then and then the other one where you have to like do the shine spark out of the Meridia hallway and then go straight up. Like it's
Yeah.
just I don't know if you're watching that part. Hopefully you were, but that
Mhm.
took me like I think that took me like 30 tries to get right. So so at that point I'm like, hey, people need to like do something else during this point. Like I am not a professional speedrunner, but yeah, I think to answer that same question, I'm going with X-ray, the X-ray scope, because if you don't know where all the stuff is, you can seriously backtrack, and I think it makes the game much more have a higher replay factor because
Mhm.
if you end up finishing this game and you only have like let's say you have like 10 10 energy canisters, you have like only like like 150 missiles or 180 missiles or something, or you don't have a lot of super missiles or power bombs, you start to realize, hey, like if the maximum is like 230 on missiles and then 50 on super missiles and power bombs, like there's way more stuff I can still explore. I can still 100% complete it. I will verify though, and I can verify this because I've 100% completed. Really, the only difference that I've seen is that you get that screen. So, so is it worth it? I mean, I don't know. Like that last super missile took me 2 hours to find. So I don't
It
like. It
was
depends
all
how you value your.
it's all worth it to get that 100% at the end.
There you go. And like I was really happy to get it, but I was like, the last super missile was in a location I just forgot the backtrack. After you beat Fantoon, you're supposed to go up and not only bomb the wall to the left, but then bomb the wall to the right as well. And I just forgot that. And
Mhm.
then like I was under this impression that the last super missile had to be in Norfair somewhere. Because I know that one is like after you beat the Golden Chorizo and then you or Chorizo. I always call him Chorizo.
Chorizo.
I must be hungry. I don't know. But like after you beat the Golden Chorizo, you like or Chorizo, you go up in that area like where he came from and you find it. But I guess I had to actually look that up. That like that's the only super missile in Norfair. So
Mhm.
the X-ray scope, in my opinion, leads to a high replay factor, and
Mhm.
also this leads to more fun exploration for sure.
Oh yeah.
What is so other than the screw attack, what is your favorite weapon in Super Metroid? I'm really like what's your favorite beam or like add-on or
The ice beam was definitely very useful. Just being able to, because if an enemy is coming at you, you could freeze them, and then you could slow down time for a bit, get your bearings, real scope out the area. You have a little bit of time to know what to do. So that was really, and I loved the way that they used the ice beam, so you could freeze enemies to use them as platforms as you're going up. I thought that was
mm,
really clever. So it was great to get the ice beam.
that's I gotta say the same. I guess yeah, we both must be pretty hardcore fans of Super Metroid because it's like, yep, that's a I can definitely agree. Or maybe we're just have similar personalities. We're both of similar mindset. But yeah, the ice beam is. And I remember like when you first get the ice beam too, like you have to go through that like. Well, I guess I remember because I did it yesterday. But that's if I didn't do it yesterday, I probably wouldn't remember it. But you have to go through this like corridor and then go up and you're kind of like there's a certain area where like there's these four enemies that come up and you have no idea how to get over there but then you realize you have to go down below where the other enemies are coming from, go in there on a ball and then you get the ice beam. You're like, oh, like I remember it was like the first time I learned that you could actually freeze enemies
Hmm.
and then use them as platforms. I was like, oh my goodness, like you
Yeah.
can like you don't need to double jump in some areas, you just need to freeze them and move up. And
Yeah.
like it was almost like, and also there's a few other. I know in the first Metroid, which good lord, I beat the first Metroid once, and I never wanted to play it ever again because like unlike Super Metroid, I think the first Metroid is just like there's just something up with the gameplay where it's like the jumping is really awkward and like, but besides that, like when I went through the final part in the first Metroid, you actually absolutely have to have the ice beam in order to beat that game because if you're not freezing those Metroids, they come up to you and like it's just so hard to escape their grasp.
Yeah.
So I also found that that's the same way like the end of Super Metroid. But by that point, you have so much health and so many
Yeah.
like missiles and super missiles. You're usually pretty good. But yeah, the ice beam with being able to freeze enemies, but also like use them for platforms as well. Like that's such a great choice. I'll also add one other thing to the mix too, and like when you get the plasma beam as well, because it's just so powerful. Like
Yeah.
it's when you're able to use that in conjunction with the wave beam or like the ice beam as well, like I mean, you can really. I mean, guys that used to take you, I don't know, like especially Meridia, some of the like intermediate guys that used to enemies used to take, I don't know, like 6 or 8 hits, only take like half that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a huge upgrade.
Yeah. It's a great weapon.
Sweet. What is your like? So we talked about exploration. We talked about a few like powerful items and weapons as well. What is your favorite Samus suit? That I should ask that question.
Oh, Samus. What are there?
So
There's
it's the normal one, and then you
yeah.
have the gravity suit, which is like your like kind of last one that allows you to move through all the water and stuff. And then there's the various suit as well.
And that's the one you could go in the lava.
Yep, that's where you can go in all the heat.
Oh,
Yep.
well, the lava one's the best one.
I really like the lava one too. As soon as you get it, like it just opens up Norfair and then
It
lower
does.
Norfair,
Because the
and
first time I played, I remember, you're seeing things in the lava, and I can't go in there. There's no way I'm ever gonna. This is obviously a pit of death. And then you start seeing, hey, I think I saw an energy tank down there, or there's some sort of item there. I'm gonna be able to go in there eventually. So just getting that suit, the Varia suit, and being able to go in there was like, oh, this is so awesome. Like you said, it opened up another area to explore.
definitely, and also too, like it's hard for me not to pick Norfair as my favorite geographical area because like there are so many epic rooms. Like actually before I don't want to bias your opinion at all or whatever, but what is your favorite geographic area of the game? I mean, there's a I can't what is the top place called? I can't even remember. This is so bad. But like the top place where the ship is at, and then you have the wrecked ship. You have Brinstar, Meridia, Norfair, Turian, and then whatever the top area is as well.
Gosh, I don't even remember all the all the different areas. I should have looked them up. Uh,
Oh no, no worries.
I'm trying to remember
Well,
what uh the area with all the bubbles. What is that one?
so Meridia because it's like the
Meridia.
amphibious, like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
Yeah,
water creatures. Yep.
that was definitely memorable for me, that area, just the design of it.
hmm
Yeah,
It definitely is. I think it's the most creative area for sure. I
yeah.
think and also too like you like definitely even me in this playthrough I almost tried to go there without the gravity suit and if you try doing that it's like you can barely jump and you're doing
Yeah.
like and you're like yep the game almost like forces you to go in a certain order because
Yeah.
like obviously you have to have different suits or the different power-ups that really help
Mhm.
if I'm picking favorite geographical area I have to go with Norfair. I really liked Meridia too, especially. I mean, and Dragon's my favorite
Mhm.
boss in the game. But Norfair, there's so many epic rooms. Oh my goodness! And I know it's a little bit harder, but like, um, there's this special room, and I didn't know it was called this until recently. Until what? Actually, Wiles told me this. Um, if he's listening, shout out to you. But there's a room in Norfair where it's like a secret room that you bomb. It's like where you're going up this tunnel, but you can't go up. You have to go around and go around
Mhm.
the top of it. But you bomb it to the left, and you're able to go through with a power bomb. And it's in the shape of Mickie Mouse. Or like a heart? Have you seen this before?
I don't remember.
I'll have to share a picture either on
Yeah.
this or like send you a photo after this. But it's like this room where like it's a secret room that has a power bomb like extension, so 5 more power bombs to your maximum,
Mhm.
and you go into it, and the whole thing is like turning between red and purple, like different shades of it. And in the middle, there's a power bomb, but it's like in the shape. It looks like it could be like an 8-bit heart, but I guess
Oh.
what it's but I guess like what it's supposed to be is like an ode to like, or like I don't know if it's trolling or like shout out to Mickey Mouse. Like I don't
Maybe.
know which one of I don't know if it's like a positive or negative thing. I don't know. Maybe whoever developed Super Metroid tried to have Disney help them out and it didn't work out or something. I don't know what the story is, but um, that room and also the room where you go in and like all the acid starts to come up. You have to like run basically the clock to go up. And if you've ever gotten all the energy tanks too, there's that room where you like blast the guy that's on the wall and you go through and it's like a whole like mouth, like, and you go
Mhm.
down in there and get the energy tank. Yeah, I think I have to pick Norfair for that only because there's
Yeah.
so many different like epic rooms in it.
Mhm. That's true. Good.
So the last thing that I will say is that, and I completely forgot about this until we had like the test technical run through of this, I guess whatever you want to call it. But I had totally forgotten that earlier on when in Chicago Retro Gamer when I started, I had this thing on our website back when we had a website. We don't have one anymore, but where it was like I wanted to spot like someone that followed us, someone that was awesome, someone that was a fellow retro gamer and loved retro games by giving them a profile and like having these like like what's your favorite games, like what's
Yeah.
the first game you beat, like, but then also having a picture of them. And I don't have the picture. I can't like go to my screen share right now, but I will share it in the video with Sally's permission, of course.
Of
But
course.
there's this awesome or I thought it was awesome at the time, but this image of like an avatar for Sally that's like Samus and like has like the Zelda Triforce, but also has like what's supposed to be a power bomb. I did it all in Microsoft Excel. So, but I think that's like a perfect. I forgot about that, and I apologize for that, not remembering that until just recently. But I think that's a good like symbol representation. I think maybe how much I both love this game and how eager I was to be like, oh, you like Super Metroid too? Let
Yeah.
me make you an avatar. you
Right?
know,
When was
I
that?
was
Was that in 2017, 2018?
I think it might have been. It was a while ago, wasn't it? Like
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if you're the same way, but as I get older, like I'm almost 40, and as I get older, like time, I don't, I can't tell the difference between 5 minutes and like 2 hours now. Like I could, I actually had to look at my phone to make sure like we weren't talking forever. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, so I'm like I don't know if we've been talking for 10 minutes or like an hour and a half. I really don't know,
Yeah. Time
but
escapes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And honestly, too, I can talk about Super Metroid and other things forever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a pretty good time to stop. But I want to make sure I thank you, Sally, absolutely, for joining me on this awesome discussion with Super Metroid.
Thank
And
you for inviting me.
definitely, oh, absolutely. It's absolutely been a pleasure. And guys, make sure that you follow Retro Arcade Party on all the socials and watch her awesome, not just run through of retro games, but modern games, as well as some of your 3D game designing too, which I'm really impressed by.
Thank you.
Uh, all right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.